So that's how they're keeping us down, folks. By we staying sick, and if we don't go sick, we got our young men thinking it's a rites of passage to go to jail. A rites of passage to go to jail. And then I was afraid to go to jail. The young guys now aren't afraid to go to jail. They glamorize it so that they're not even afraid to go to jail. And they let the pants hang down below their buttholes. Ain't no women in here. But guys, where did that come from? That came from homosexuals in jail. So when those kids come in my office, I don't let them come out with their pants hanging down. And I know y'all don't tolerate it in the church. But y'all don't tolerate it in a young man in your family. Why is he advertising that you can have this? That's what they do. They took the belts away from them so they couldn't run. And then the fast guy took it a little further and said, oh, if I don't have a belt, because you can't kill yourself, brother, so you're hanging yourself. The belt was just a weapon. They just took that away. So then the fags just pulled it down a little further and tied it around the butt, showed it up. So that's not us, folks. That's not us. That's not us. Let me say a little bit about the mind. I know I'm kind of bumping around, but we're going to cover your questions. But while I'm on this topic, the N-word. Now, how can we get others to respect us if we don't respect us?
Come on,
You can put an A on it, you can put an R on it, it don't matter. What is the origin of that word? That word was used to describe shiftless, lazy black folk.
Come on.
That's what that word was for. 400 years ago, they wouldn't call us Africans. They called us niggers. So how are we going to call ourselves niggers? And how are we going to laugh at other people? I am going to be moving with, hopefully, the brother named Tommy Owens. If you guys know Tommy, tell him I'm coming. And if you guys don't know it, Tommy books a lot of the acts around here, especially for, is it the Joker's one or what's the one out of the green? Funny Bone. Tommy Owens books for Funny Bone. And I've been out there twice, and both times I just didn't feel it. These people came here with all these high accolades, it was really, really funny. But when it got down to it, it was just an N-word and a whole bunch of sexual stuff. And in that environment, I mean, I'm okay with the sexual thing. I could have handled that because we weren't in church, and I could understand that's the culture. But I could not understand the N-word. I just couldn't understand that. Yeah. So you guys help me with Tommy. I'm going to approach Tommy Owens and say, Tommy, let's start the movement in Dayton. Let's tell these comics, since he can put these people on the stage. Tommy Owens is the book for that, but we don't want him to get fired. So what we're hoping he can do is just tell folk up front, okay, look, let's just be funny, but this is a no N-word category. And I mean, the top comics are coming in, and they will say it, and you can count. And what really brought this to my attention that I had to do something. I'm out there with two of my African brothers, Nala, the guy that owns it, and another brother, Dr. Nakuru. I don't know if you guys know him. He's over there in St. Elizabeth, internal medicine. We all went out for a nice evening with our wives, and we had something to celebrate. I'm not sure what it was. And those African brothers didn't understand that. They sitting there really stressed. I was a little stressed, but then I really got stressed when I looked at them. I said, now how do we look to the world? We're gonna in front of television, what was the young lady that everybody beat up? Paula Dean. How can we expect them to do what we can't do? Paula Dean hear her folk calling each other niggas. And I apologize for saying it, but I want to make a point here. Paula Dean hears that. America hears that, folk. They hear us saying that. So what kind of craziness is this that we can say it about ourselves and they can't say it? And because we do it out of love. Come on, people. Thessalonians 1:5-23 talked about your mind.
All right.
And your mind definitely dictates your future if you are positive or negative. So in your mind, if you see yourself as that person, and you don't see yourself as that person, you don't see yourself as that person, If I had in any audience, I said, raise your hand, all the Ians in the house. And nobody raised their hand. Well, then if you're not, when I ask you, then why are you going to let somebody else talk to you? So young men, challenge your buddies. Let's don't do that. That's the mind that Thessalonians 1, 5:23 is talking about. It's what we perceive in ourselves that's going to dictate our behavior. And of course, if you feel that way about yourself, you do have a desire to self-destruct. And so therefore you have self-destructive behavior, such as nicotine, such as alcohol, such as overindulgence even in anything physical, getting all caught up in the flesh to the point that the flesh kills you. Knowing you got diabetes, overeating. All right. Knowing you got hypertension, loading up your plate with salt. Just misbehaving, thinking that God gonna take care of you anyway. No, you won't. God made you in His image. Amen. What is the image of God? What is the image of God? Does God look like me? I haven't seen Him look like you. So what is the image of God that I'm making? God's a creator. God created. What image is God? What is that image? For sure, it's the image of love. For sure, God is love. I should first love myself. That's the image of God, love. And Pastor Truman can tell you a whole lot, Pastor Martin can tell you a whole lot of the others, images of God that we need to pattern ourselves on. But that image starts with a positive concept of self. And understanding that you ain't just the physical. It is your mind that controls the physical. And then that spiritual side of you truly is the ultimate controller. That spiritual side. Because that spirit came from God. That's right. When God gave you the breath of life, He breathed into you His spirit. His spirit. So it's really pretty easy, folks. We just got to line that spirit up with God. We got to keep our act clean. Keep your temple clean. Don't be so drunk that you can't get to church on Sunday. Don't get so drunk you can't help your kids with homework. Don't get so drunk you can't hear your wife saying, "Honey, I need to talk to you." Don't get so occupied with chemicals that we're just out of touch. So the Spirit of God is love. The Spirit of God is peace. The Spirit of God is compassion. The Spirit of God is giving. That's the image of God. So we talked about colonoscopies, we talked about prostates, we talked about hypertension. Show of hands, who all has hypertension? Okay. Hypertension will kill you if it's not controlled. However, you can live a normal life if it is controlled. You should have a blood pressure cuff at home. You should be checking your blood pressure yourself. You should check with the nurses here maybe once or twice a month to see if your cuff is working like it should. They know that blood pressure is okay. You got to stay on your medicine. If the medication impacts your sexual performance, you let the doctor know, because there are drugs now, medications now that can control your blood pressure without causing impotence. But don't stop taking the medicine. Don't take it because you don't want to have the doctor thinking less of you and you running around with your blood pressure sky high. Let him know, "Doc, I take this, it ain't happening." He will say, "Oh, let's stop it." Now, if he doesn't say that, then you got the wrong doctor. Because there are over 100 different blood pressure pills. And I promise you there's one out there for you. There was a hand? Yes, sir.
Just had a little quick testimony about blood pressure. I was going to my doctor and I saw this doctor for 5 years. And high blood pressure runs in my family real heavy. And I've been taking the medicine, but I'm still having headaches and all that. Well, I started asking my doctor a question. He said, "Well, you know, we'll talk about it in 6 months." Well, I happened to go to a diet doctor because I gained a bunch of weight. And this diet doctor, black female, 36 years old, she said, She called me, she said, we need to talk about your blood pressure. She said, well, I was on a medicine called Lisinopril. And she said, that's not good for you. She said, you're not taking enough to do anything for you. She said, but I can't do anything for you because you're with this other doctor. So I transferred over to her. Within a month, my blood pressure changed dramatically. It went from 89 to 94 to 69 to 70. All because of a change in medicine. So I challenge everybody to talk to your doctor. Don't allow this man or this person to run your life. You start challenging them. When I start challenging them, I find out some different things.
Absolutely, absolutely. So he was not in denial. He realized he had it. He asked the question. He sought a different questioner that the opinion of someone else. But he wanted to be healthy. He made the right decision. And God blessed him by letting him have him finally got it to help him. That's what we got to do. Don't be in denial. America ranks 30th in most of the healthcare industries in the modern world. What does that mean? That means there are 29 other countries in the Western Hemisphere, considered industrial countries, that are better than we are in terms of healthcare. Whereas we spend 3 times as much as the countries closest to us. So we're spending more money for healthcare, getting less results. And that's part of the reason. It has to do with culture competence. Culture competence. Some of these folks don't care about you if you don't look like them.
All right.
And sometimes they don't care about you if you look like them.
Amen.
So culture competence means I'm aware of what's happening in your house, and I'm taking that to heart as I try and treat you. But it starts first by letting you know that I care. And if I tell you, we're going to talk about that in 6 months, I don't care. I'm trying to get you out of my office so I can see the next patient. Yes, sir.
While we're on this, can you share with us about diets? Because I believe that a lot of the foods that we eat also enhance the negative part of our health. So could you just...
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, very good point. Very good point. And I acknowledge, as an MD, I didn't get trained in nutrition. I didn't. There's some of you in here might know more. You might be. I see you lean and train. So you might know more about the specifics. I can make some general comments. You are what you eat. You are what you eat. And the bottom line is, a lot of us tend to overeat. And so a lot of times it's not as much as what, as much as how much. But if the industry is not providing healthy foods for you, then you're not eating healthy. The term now, food desert, is applied to West Dayton because you've got very few choices for healthy foods. Now, what are the healthy foods? Fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, lean pieces of meat. I'm not a vegetarian, you can tell that. So I do eat meat. I think but I'm careful what meat I eat. Free-range chicken is a lot better than chicken that's been pumped up with hormones. And most of the foods you have comes to the market very quickly because of this capitalistic society. They bring that fry to market about a third of the time they did when we were kids. Because they pump them full of antibiotics, they pump them full of steroids, and that fry comes to your plate at 6 weeks instead of 12 weeks, which is what it used to be, or 16 weeks, where that chicken grew at his own rate and ate off the land. The same for beef. The same for beef. They'll bring a young steer to the market now at 3 months because he's big enough to get top dollar, and it goes in your plate, and he's full of antibiotics, he's full of hormones. So here you are. So one question being raised now, why is there so much prostate cancer in Black America? Why is there so much breast cancer in Black America? Even men are having breast cancer. And it does reflect the foods we eat. I suspect that it has to do with the foods we eat. So you want to counter some of those negativities by making sure you're getting fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, and you got to do 5 of those a day. And it shouldn't come out of a can unless that's the only choice you have. You want to do it 5 about no more than 4 to 6 grams a day, about the size of your hand, is all the meat protein you should be eating. And the rest should be fiber, grains, vegetables, fruit. And then you don't have diabetes. And then you don't have hypertension. This gentleman, then you, sir. Yes, sir.
Sometimes when I go and pick up my son from school, just trying to tie it together. Why are these kids developing so early? Like you see high school boys already with beards.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember when I was in high school, man.
Yeah.
There's no first step.
And now everybody.
But now you see kids in the 9th grade with full beards, girls looking like grown women. Do you think that's because of food?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the hormone. It's the hormone. We are getting the food, we buy the foods, not knowing what it is, and in that food product, you name it. They got whatever they have to put, androgens, to make that animal grow, you are eating that androgen. So it's whatever he was fed. Our kids, McDonald's is #1 culprit, and we have got to do something about that, folks. We got to start challenging this stuff. This goes back to what I said about the healthy community. We got to get healthy, but then we got to look at our community and see what can we do to make sure we do have those options. A church like this, I can see you guys having a farmer's market easy.
Amen.
And even a grocery store easy. I mean, you might already have it. But the apathy, we got to solve this problem. The food issue, we can take care of that. We can buy the food, we can bring it in, we can make it available, we can close down Kroger's if they're not giving us the right foods that we need. Everybody cried when that Kroger was closed over there on Edinburgh. Did you guys ever go in there? That place was filled. They should have closed. I know you're going to say they closed because we were stealing. You weren't stealing nothing. You were stealing. That place was filthy. They need to close. If you go down to Centerville, their produce don't look like it did on the west side. And that one on Siegenthaler is not much better.
Doctor, you talk about vitamin regimen, like a man, daily vitamin. I take one that's called 50 plus for phosphate, it's a natural vitamin, but a vitamin regimen.
Yeah, 50 plus is a good choice. I used to say you didn't need vitamins if you ate well, but of course we're not able to eat well now because of the food designation. So most of the GNC vitamins, if you go by age, they are adequate. Now, to cocktail all the vitamins and minerals and herbs you got to eat, you're spending a lot of money. So I would get with a brand that you trust. Centrum is what I usually recommend, Centrum for Men. And I'd stay with that brand. GNC has a similar product. For cost sakes, if you go to CVS, and let's say your Centrum is going to cost you about $6 more than the CVS brand, when you look on the label, it's the same product. So buy the cheapest one and save a few dollars. But yeah, you should be on a one-a-day vitamin, age appropriate. But vitamins does not remove you from getting your exams and seeing your doctor and being aggressive with your own health. I saw a hand saying,
If you wanted to, at the end of the session, I'll go a little further into the description. If you got some supplements.
well, we might can do that now. Yeah. Is there any other questions about any sickness? Anybody got any questions about diabetes, high cholesterol? Any questions? Because I did say I would answer your questions. Yes, sir.
Talk about those energy drinks.
Be careful, because a lot of caffeine's in them. A lot of vitamins are in them, but a lot of them are caffeine and some other products that are stimulants. So you really, if you're eating well, you really don't need the energy drinks. I'd stick with coffee. I just wouldn't get involved in energy drinks, because the amount of caffeine that's in there is almost 4 times the amount that you would see in coffee. So I wouldn't do the energy drinks.
So what is the regular sugar rate for diabetes?
What your blood sugar should be if you have diabetes? You want to keep your fasting blood sugars below 120, between 70 and 120 when you wake up in the morning. And in the afternoon or 2 hours after a meal, any meal, it should never be above 160. So those are the numbers you want to remember. 70 to 120 in the morning, 70 to 160 any other time you check.
Doctor, is there a certain number of cups of coffee
teas, so that I would sure be drinking.
Well, it depends on what the potency of the coffee is. But the data does suggest 2 to 3 cups is probably adequate for most people. You run into some problems with elevated caffeine, which can still elevate your blood pressure, cause cardiac arrhythmias, which is why I stay away from the energy drinks. If you're doing more than 3 a day, and especially if it's a high potency variety, you can still run the risk of caffeine toxicity. So moderation on the caffeine.
How significant is water to our bodies? I believe that, our bodies is 80%
Yeah.
water.
Very significant. Yeah, and you gotta drink at least half your body weight to be well nourished. If you're cramping, it means you're not drinking enough water. Sometimes you have to add a little tonic water with quinine to it, but for the most part, you gotta make sure you're drinking half your body weight in ounces. So if you're a 140-pound man, you need to drink 70 ounces of water. I'm sorry, just throughout the 24-hour day, just space it out. Any other questions?
Yeah, with GERD or acid reflux, should you be experiencing a centralized sensation?
What do you mean centralized?
Like just like a burning sensation in one specific area or that or?
You mean for GERD?
Yeah.
Typical GERD symptoms are substernal, present as chest pain, or so-called heartburn. If it's beyond that area, I think otherwise. But of course, this heartburn frequently can actually be your heart. So that needs to be evaluated. And if you're taking the over-the-counter GERD meds and you're not getting relief after 2 to 3 weeks, you really ought to see a doctor. Okay?
What about sleep? How much rest, how much sleep should you be getting on a daily basis?
Well, the data shows that most of us are sleep deprived, which is why we have to drink the energy drinks and all the coffee. But still, 6 hours, 6 hours is the minimum, but 8 hours is the preferred. And as you get older, it may be less, but still, your body has to restore. And restorative sleep is really important. Because again, inadequate sleep correlates with diabetes, sleep apnea, cardiac pathology. If you're not resting your body, you are risking your health. So try and get a minimum of 6 without having to take a sleep aid or even preferably 8 hours.